How do you juggle motherhood and life? Write down what it is that you want in every area of your life. Create a plan. That's half the battle right there. And really witnessing the beauty that is the divine in the universe working in your favor. So today I really want to discuss that balance between motherhood and whatever else it is that you are passionate about or just your day to day, right? So I feel like once upon a time, our mothers, our grandmothers, they made parenthood look so easy. They made motherhood look so easy. And I think, especially as children, but the moment that you get older, you start to notice these things like how tired they were or how many of them never pursued certain careers or had to stop certain careers that they were once so in love with because of the priority of motherhood. And obviously our children, they are our priorities, but there has to be some sort of balance that we can find to experience everything. And one thing I've heard one too many times is women cannot have it all. I disagree. Okay. I completely disagree because I feel like it's about prioritizing and being strategic and creative and just really getting down to what's important to you and what does your life look like. So for me, I definitely have fallen victim to that mindset of feeling like there's no way that I can do the things that I was passionate about prior to having kids while having kids. And to be honest, everybody's life is going to look different. Your support system, your financial stability, your priorities in terms of how you want to raise your children. Like everybody's life is going to look different. But once you decide, okay, how is it that I want to raise my children? What do I want that experience to look like, to feel like, you know? And what are the things that I love to do, whether it's your free time or whether it's something that you want to pursue, a passion, a career, a hobby, you know? Instead of feeling like this is it, this is, all I can do, we have to take a step back and just realize like if we map out a plan, we can still accomplish those same goals. It may look different. It may look different than the way that we intended. The journey to accomplish your goal may even take a little bit longer, but there's a lot of beauty in that as well when you think about how you're able to build a more stable and sturdy foundation. Children oftentimes give you a different lens to view the world through. And this lens, I feel like, is a superpower. It can help guide you and keep you really keep you on the right path, right? And for most women who are balancing, some sort of career or hobby in their children, they know this. And again, some days are going to be easier than others. For me, I had to take a look, I had to take a step back and say, how can I work out, when my kids are small, if I don't have help when I need to go to the gym? How can I fit in time for, school or different courses that I'm taking? How is it that I'm going to be able to balance a social life or create some sort of generational wealth for me and my children while actively raising them? I'm raising my children plant based. I homeschooled my children once before, and they this past year went to school. I'm indifferent about the experience. Well, no, I take that back. I'm not indifferent about the experience. I prefer homeschool. And so my goal is always to put myself in a position so that I can homeschool my children, so that I can be more available. So honestly, like when I took a step back and like looked at my life, I'm like, I don't have time for anything. I don't have time for, business or school or working out or anything, because my focus has to be helping my children right now. They're in two different stages. So one of them has these type of needs in terms of their education, the other one has these needs. And you just put yourself on the back burner. But if you do that long enough, it will build and it will fester, and it can show up in so many ways. It can show up as depression, anxiety. A lot of women report feeling like they've lost themselves, or like they're not the same version of themselves. And I'd argue that's because I don't know if you're completely meant to be the exact same person after going through such a transformation like giving birth. You know, Motherhood will change you, parenthood will change you. So you are supposed to evolve and turn into another type of being, but it doesn't mean you have to lose parts of yourself. You evolve those parts, right? So for me, a typical day, a lot of times I will prep the night before, prep my day the night before, or prep a little bit for the week, on a Sunday or something like that. And for me, again, you have to look at your life and figure out what works for you. But for me, my children had to be at school by my son had to be at school by 7:30, 7:40, and my daughter had to be to school by before 8:30. So for me to get them to school on time, get them fed before school, have time for myself. Like, I started my day at 5 a.m. and I was still like rushing against the clock. So I decided to, try again, go back to the drawing board, and I started getting up at 4 a.m. I know, 4 a.m. So when I would get up at 4 a.m., I realized that I now had the time to say a prayer, okay? Oil pull, meditate. I would go and do a little workout, a 30-minute, 45-minute workout, something quick, something light. And then I would immediately go into, the rest of my morning. I would go ahead and shower. I would go ahead and start the kids' breakfast. I would start packing the kids' lunch, which most of the time I've prepped the fruit, like I said, the day before. I've prepped certain parts of their lunch the day before. So I would go ahead and get those things together, pack their lunches, pack their snacks. Zion likes his snacks, Zuri likes her snacks. Um, they have their own preferences and their special requests for lunch. So once I've prepped their lunch and started that process, like I said, I'll go ahead and get their breakfast on. After I would get their breakfast on, depending on the time, if there was anything else that needed to be done, maybe I needed to throw a load of laundry in or something like that, I would do that then. If not, I would go ahead and wake them up, get them up, have them go ahead and get themselves together in the bathroom. That's a hit or miss. That's a hit or miss. Sometimes they get right to it. Other days they're upstairs playing. The water's been running for 30 minutes and nobody has touched a toothbrush. Okay. You never know which way the wind is going to blow with two little ones. But that's why I get them up so early to give us all ample time for when they're playing. And then by the time that they're done, I have them make their beds, come downstairs. I, help moisturize their face, wash their faces, clean them up real good for them, because at this age they still don't do it like they're supposed to. Um, at 5 and 7, they still need a lot of help with that. Moisturize them real good, touch up anything I need to do with their hair. That's when I do that. Once we're done in the bathroom, we're off to go have breakfast. So I'll give them their breakfast. Sometimes we start with a smoothie, fruit, or whatever. It just depends on the mood. I give them their breakfast, and then by the time that they're done eating, I have them load up their backpacks, get in the car. I grab my breakfast, and we are off, right? So typically, I would drop my son off, then I would drop my daughter off, then I would proceed to a library, or if I had meetings that morning, or if I was working on a specific project, that's my time to now go and lock in. And before I pick up the kids, this is also my time to run any errands, okay? Anything to do with the car, any groceries I may need, if I needed to cook dinner that night, anything if I hadn't already prepped it for the week. That was my time to do it. So for me and my family, our schedule worked for us because I had to maneuver around their school schedule, and I had to figure out, like, how do I have a moment to myself? And to be honest with you, it was a blessing. It was such a blessing for me because it it feels good when you're being consistent with your routine. It feels good when you're working out. It feels good when you're taking the time to meditate. So for me to consistently be able to get those things in my routine every day, I not only could feel the benefit, but I could see it. I could see it in my children, I could see it in myself. And I still feel extremely productive. Maybe I don't get the same amount done as I would when, you know, I didn't have kids, but there is so much peace that I get in knowing that I'm working towards something that's valuable and important to me, and building a life for me and my children that we all deserve, and then also providing for them and pouring into them the way that they deserve. That gives me so much fulfillment, like being able to do those things and not feeling like I have to sacrifice one or the other, right? So I just have to be creative. Once upon a time, I would burn myself out. I would feel like I need to do everything right now. Now I know it's okay to say, okay, I'm just going to work on this for an hour today because I got errands to run. I got to go to the store. Or, we're in the house and we're cleaning up. And I'm like, you know what, guys, go play your tablets for a second. Mommy's going to step out. Mommy's going to step on the balcony and meditate. Or you guys come outside and you play. And while they're playing, I'm sitting on the balcony meditating. Or I'm getting some sun. Or I'm taking a break to read a book. Like finding ways to prioritize the things that you value and the things that you need in your life to feel fulfilled in all of these categories. It's important. And I urge every woman to, especially women who feel like they can't have it all, or women who feel like it's a lost hope, or you just have this sense of doubt that, you've closed this chapter and it's something that you're never going to get to experience again, no matter what that is for you, right? And it could be your social life. For me, my social life is, it's a priority, but in certain ways it's important for me to stay connected to people that I love and care about. That doesn't mean that I talk to them or see them every day. In fact, I can go for long periods of time without seeing or talking to my loved ones, but when I connect on such a deep level. And I'm always rooting for people that I love, and I'm always supporting them, even if it's at a distance. And I do what I can to show up, especially for special moments in my loved ones' lives. I try my best to show up in every way that I can. But the beautiful thing about that is I have such a dope community of people around me that everybody understands. We're in different seasons, and I'm in a different season now than I used to be before I had kids. But I do believe that time is an illusion. So all of this time that I feel like I need to have to do a million things, I realize that no, I give this thing that I'm working on this set amount of time. And if I'm working on it consistently every day, or on the during the moments and the times that I'm supposed to, you make so much progress. And it's amazing how, when you're just putting one foot in front of the other, the way that God will align things, the universe will literally cater to what it is that you're creating. Any mother out there that's struggling with um, balancing motherhood and their passions, I urge you to have a shift in your mindset. And I'll even give you a homework assignment. Take a pen and a paper and write down what it is that you want your motherhood experience to look like. What is it that you want your children to experience? How do you want that relationship to look? How do you want the day to day to look, right? Because that is a major aspect of it, right? And then what does their schedule look like, right? Are they in school? Are they homeschooled? What are your family's needs and priorities? Then what is it that you need in terms of your self-care routine, in terms of your work, and if you run a business, if you're starting a business, if you're in school, if you want to get in school, what are your needs? So I will use school as an example. If you're a full-time mom, maybe going and staying on campus is not going to be the easiest thing for you, right? But now, which we're so blessed, right? There's so many opportunities to do school from the comfort of your home, or to be able to go to a library and take a class and utilize, certain resources. There are ways that we can be very clever and strategic, as I said earlier. And I urge you to do that. I urge you to do it for you, for your children's sake, and for your future's sake. And remove those feelings of doubt. Okay. When you write down what it is that you want in every area of your life and what that needs to look like, then you have to sit here and come up with a schedule. Come up with a schedule, create a plan, have your goals and then create your plan to accomplish your goals. That's half the battle right there. Once you've written it down and said what you wanted, you've accomplished the bulk of it. Once you come up with that plan, that's the you almost there. Now it's about implementing and being consistent and being disciplined and now in really witnessing the beauty that is the divine in the universe working in your favor. So, anybody that has any doubt, I'm here to dispel your doubt, okay? You are capable of having it all despite what everybody has told you, okay? So, thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to come here.